But we have ourselves a nice little PvP here, so let's go ahead and hop on in to game number 1. Spawning in the lower right-hand corner of Hard Lead, it is Systrom Gaming's Gerald. And his opponent in the upper left for Basilisk, it's Trigger. I have a nice little piece of merchandise here. I have a Basilisk cube that Trigger has signed. It is also, of course, signed by Cyril and Rotterdam. Not Rainer, though. You have to get Rainer's signature on it. That means I have to bring it to Dallas to get signed again. We'll get it. We'll get him. All right, so we've got a little PvP action here. Now, Gerald, he gave up on ever going for the low ground single gate. I don't know if he's gone back to it at all, but even when it was like the popular common thing to do, he just stopped. He was like, I'm over it. I don't want to try to one gate expand. So he just always does the 2 gate on the high ground thing. Trigger's going for it here as well. And I mean, it's not too surprising on this map. No low ground ramp or anything. So far, things looking pretty standard. Second pylon's back at home for both players. Gerald is very famous for his probe harass, so I like that Trigger is just sent one probe after him. Yeah, but just get out of here. Just get out of here, bud. It's double Stalker here for Trigger. Double Adept for Gerald. Oh, that pylon is blocking his Nexus. Gerald, that's not a good pylon. I don't like that pylon, Gerald. Ooh, maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not. That's close. You know what? I assume he knows the positioning. I'm just worried. I get worried when I see that. You know, we've all been there. We've all put our pylon down 1 hex in the wrong spot. And you just don't realize it until it's done. Until you go to put down your Nexus, you're like, wait a minute. Double Stalker to follow it up here. No other tech from either player just yet. Trigger does put down his own Nexus. His pylon is safely away from the Nexus positioning. Gerald saving up money. All right, all right. This is why we trust the pro players, guys. It looked dicey, but Gerald knows his stuff. He's a pro. The Adepts are circling around. The Stalkers are actually in, oh my god, almost the position to see them. They had vision of the whole ramp for a second. They just barely missed them. And Trigger might get a little surprised by this. Obviously, he has the probe in position, but he's got to be ready. He's got to be ready. There he is. The Adepts will finish the shade. Sentry stays alive, though. And now 4 Stalkers hitting the other side of the map. Going to take down the shield battery. And now Gerald's in a little bit of trouble here. Going to use that high ground to his advantage. Second shield battery on the way. Trigger just backs out. 2 Adepts on the backside as well that could try to shade in and help this army out. But as Warp Gate is finished for both players, you're going to see more units be able to warp in here defensively for Gerald, and Trigger is just going to back on up. With Blink already on the way, in fact, being chrono boosted. It's starting to feel like Trigger might get big aggressive here. The Adept's going to finish this shade. We'll get 1, 2, maybe a 3rd probe if they go for it. I don't think it's going to be too much more. It looks like this Adept going to get taken out here. It's actually going to live a little bit. Oh, nope. Gets that 3rd kill. Damn. Damn, these Adepts, dude. They're so annoying. Is it going to get away again? Ooh, it does. It does. Look at it go. 5 hit points. Gets out of there. That's so funny. We're going to go scout with some Haluk Phoenixes. And then Gerald's going straight for some Immortals. So Blink is obviously a little bit later here for Gerald. But the Immortal will help defend against the faster Blink Stalkers of his opponent. Kind of an interesting choice, though. I feel like I don't see Immortals this fast usually in PvP. Both players just going to take a third. All right. They're going to take a third and scout each other's third. Esker Alvin, thank you for the follow. It's fun casting your matches earlier. Gumiho's a tough one, but it was a fun TVT to start off our day. Board's going down for Gerald, also on the way here for Trigger. Fairly even game for the time being. A few more Stalkers in Trigger's army, but of course Big Daddy Immortal helps even things out. Surprised Gerald's putting on pressure right now. Shield Battery is not quite finished yet. Oh, is he going to try to draw the army in the natural? No, he's going to take down that Shield Battery, no cancel. That's a beautiful force field. Trigger, though, with that blink done. Actually, Gerald doesn't have blink done yet. Oh, I don't like this for Gerald at all. Trigger can absolutely chase. Instead, going to blink backwards, just trying to kill as many Stalkers as possible. This Immortal cannot fight this many Stalkers on its own. There's the blink forward. Not going to get the Immortal, though. I think he accidentally shot his own Stalker with that first volley, unfortunately, for Trigger. The Immortal stays alive. Just takes some hull damage. I think overall, though, that was a better trade for Trigger. Not that big of a deal, but the Adept didn't seem to get too much done in the meantime either. Now Trigger's going to go for some counter pressure, but Gerald does have Blink now. That will help in these fights. Doesn't look like Trigger's going to commit too much, though. Just gets 2 probes and gets out. Oh, look at that. I love that Blink from Gerald. It feels weird, but this is Gerald saying, oh, you were just going for probes? I'm worried you have, like, Adepts over here or something. I'm worried there's something coming into the natural. It was just a good play. Obviously, in this case, it's not really anything, but shows he's thinking. He's a thinking man. And both players going straight for the fourth. It's crazy how well timed they are on these bases, because I don't think, yeah, Gerald hasn't scouted the fourth. Trigger didn't scout the fourth. They just both are taking it within moments of each other. The Observer here for Gerald going to spot that the Stalkers are chasing his Stalkers. Gerald does not have a recall. He's got to get out of there. Charge is done for these Zealots as well. And Trigger is way up in the Stalker count, or at least of this Stalker count. It looks like there's some more hanging out around, as the actual Stalker count is very similar. But +1 is done for Trigger. Charge is done for Trigger a good bit earlier than it is for Gerald, so he's going to be down on charge. The upgrade is very close to finishing, though. But look at that army supply. Trigger very heavy on the Zealots and going to dive on top of these Stalkers, getting a couple of kills there. And he is just going to keep on pushing, warping in, bringing more Zealots in. And oh no, Gerald's army split a little bit. Gerald is going to have a big surround, but I think against the Blink Stalkers and the Chargeless, it's not a good thing. Super Shield Battery turns on, but the Immortal's going to go down. The Prism went down. This is kind of an awkward fight, though. Gerald taking a good fight on the left side. Trigger taking a good fight on the right. We do see Trigger's army supply is still up, and he's got the Warp Prism for close reinforcements. The Zealots are getting taken out, but now the Stalkers are here for Trigger, and he's pushing Gerald's army all the way back. The Shield Battery's out of juice. The Overcharge has already been used, and I think Trigger has just won this game with a big flood of charge lots, hitting Gerald in a bit of a weird timing. I don't think Gerald was fully ready for it. And there's the GG. Trigger goes up 1-0 in this series. So the thing about PvP is sometimes like one player might be teching differently than a different player. Obviously those Immortals, they become a lot less useful once there's charge lots involved. They usually just kind of aimlessly shoot at a charge lot while they get killed by the Stalkers. Now we're going to head into game 2. We're going to Hecate. Actually, I'm going to grab some water while we hop into this one. So, you guys go ahead and put you in game so you're ready. we are, game number 2. Make sure the score is right here. We are on Hecate, and in the upper right-hand corner, we have System Gaming's Gerald. Now down 0-1 in this PvP. His opponent in the lower left for Basilisk, it's Trigger, who is going for the low ground this time. So I kind of mentioned it last game. The low ground single gate fell out of style for a little bit, but then I think players realized that, you know, it's still doable. Max Packs, of course, showing everybody. But Trigger was always somebody who liked to do that as well. He loved to do the one gate, low ground kind of thing in PvP. So not too surprised to see him be one of the few players that does still pull this out from time to time. And I think after last game, maybe feeling a bit confident that he can do this here. But when you're down 0-1 in a PvP, I wouldn't be insanely shocked to see Gerald do something aggressive, one base aggressive. He is going to send a probe to the top side. This looks like a, I mean, if this is a proxy anything, it would be a Stargate, or like I guess like a Dark Shrine. Certainly not a good proxy robo location, although it is possible. Sometimes the worst location to proxy something is the best because your opponent won't expect it. Trigger, though, is checking out, and actually he's going to spot this Stargate right as it goes down. Look at this probe scouting out a Trigger. Ends up following the exact same path as Gerald, and he's just going to spot this immediately. I think Gerald saw that it was spotted. Now, of course, Oracles coming out can still be dangerous. Trigger still has to respect it. Just because he got scouted doesn't mean it's not going to do any damage at all. But Trigger has put himself in a great spot here. He's got the shield battery at the front to help him out. His base is done. He can put a shield battery down in the main mineral line to help out against the first Oracle. But this is a great position right now for Trigger. Gerald needs to find something to do to get back in this game. It looks like he's going to go ahead and take an expansion, so he is going to try to just get some damage done with the Depths and Oracles. But Trigger is going to block the natural off. And honestly, I think in this situation, you just let this shield battery finish. Just let it finish. I think there's no reason not to. And then just keep Stalkers in the main base. This Stalker can hit the Adepts from behind the wall. But these two Adepts trying to gun their way through a shield battery, that takes so long. Warp Gate is almost done here. I'm surprised there's no shield battery in the main mineral line here for Trigger. Against double Oracle, it doesn't really do too much. Oh my god, the shield battery healing the other shield battery. That's so hot. Actually so hot. Because the Oracles are so delayed, I mean, I don't know. It seems to be going just fine for Trigger. Gerald trying to do some fancy micro here. Really wants to bust through, but as we see, Trigger is up 9 workers right now. The Oracles have some work to do. The shield battery is very low. The Oracle's going to dive in there. Should be able to get a few kills. 1, 2, 3, 4, but 1 Oracle falls. 4 is not enough to lose one of those Oracles. There's no third Oracle on the way. And even, honestly, even if these Adepts make it through at this point, there's 3 Stalkers in the main base. They're not going to get that much done. Oh, the Oracles come back in, though. There's no shield battery for these probes. Gerald leaving his probe line exposed. Going to lose a few more workers. That closes the gap a little bit. Of course, Gerald has a second Nexus up now. So Trigger does lose some workers there. 8 probes in total. Loses the shield battery at the front, too. Now the Adepts are a bit more of a threat. However, Blink is on the way for both players. Trigger, I mean, the armor supplies are the same, but the Stalker counts are not. 8 to 3. That is a big deal. Now, that being said, there's another Oracle on the way for Gerald, and I like this choice a lot because now the Stalkers might start to move out, and those Oracles might have a chance to get in and get some big damage done. These Adepts should be able to shade away and stay alive. Trigger's just going to take a third and try to keep that economic momentum going. Gerald has a couple more gates on the way, and I think Gerald might just go for an attack here. No, literally as I say that, the Nexus goes down. God damn it. They always do that to me, these pro players. I was like, he's on 5 gates on 2 bases. He could just go attack him. Gerald's like, nah, dude. Why would I do that? I could just take a third. I could just take a third and dive in with 2 oracles and get some kills. There's 2 stalkers here, but 2 stalkers is not a defense against 2 oracles. It's just not. I mean, it'll push them away, but those oracles can absolutely get 5, 6, 7 kills. Plus the adept shading in at a perfect time, forcing the blink out of the main base. Oh, Gerald, bring those oracles in, bud. Oh, doesn't bring the oracles in. That was such a perfect timing. Gonna allow 2 more stalkers to get warped in here for Trigger. These oracles are waiting. I'm not sure what they're waiting for, though. I feel like they just had the opportunity of a lifetime. Trigger is still ahead in that stalker count, although it's still pretty close. But this game, it's Trigger heading into the Immortals sooner. We don't have a Robo yet for Gerald, so. Stalkers are out to deal with this this Stargate, but Gerald's actually pretty close and might be able to go kill these Stalkers. Trigger's going to need to kill this pylon and then recall. Uh-oh. Uh-oh, Trigger. He's about to lose 5 Stalkers for absolutely nothing. He's going to try to run them away, but they are not going to get away. And he does not want to go out and take that fight right now because now he's down in Stalkers. However, he does have Big Daddy Immortal here and a shield battery. I don't think Gerald can actually do too much else. But then the double Oracle comes in knowing Stalkers are occupied elsewhere. Going to be able to get 6 kills and get out of there. Hide in the corner. That being said, whoop, hold on. Trigger going to push these away. Even with 6 workers going down, the worker count ends up even because Trigger was ahead for so long. So Trigger's economy has been better the majority of this game. Obviously a big swing here for Gerald, and that's going to take it back to pretty much even. Ooh. Oracle's getting real low, but staying alive. That looked really nice for Gerald. Getting those Stalker kills for free is really, really nice. Killing, obviously, a lot of probes this game is wonderful. But so far, Trigger is still, I would say, ahead. I mean, look at the supply here. Big army supply lead. Trigger has pulled back in the worker lead. And also, this 4th base is a bit sooner. So despite all of the work Gerald has done this game, it's still a tough position for him. One thing Gerald does have going for him is +1 a bit earlier, as is Charge. I do not think Trigger has Charge. Yeah, it hasn't even started it yet. So Gerald might be able to do to Trigger what Trigger did to Gerald last game, just go for a big swing of Charge Lots to boost that army supply. Right now, just little trades of Stalkers, but supply staying relatively similar between them. Gerald looking for a way in, looking to maybe get some more probe kills. Down 7 workers. Trigger's just been very good on the worker production this game. Actually, it ends up being Trigger gets a nice little trade there. Gerald's +1 is done, +2 is started up. So right now he's got that advantage. Could try to dive in here and get some damage done, but doesn't want to commit to it. And just warping in more Stalkers, goddamn. Both sides here, 26 to 27. God, I love PvP. It's just so crazy. Wouldn't be too surprised to see somebody go into Disruptors soon. Gerald is out here. Trigger chasing him away. A couple of those probes go down. Gerald actually going to be quicker on the 5th base because he did delay Trigger's 5th from going down here. Killed the probe. Trigger going to send another probe down, and Gerald, ooh, he misses that one. He doesn't see that one. Trigger splitting his army. I don't know if he's seen this or if he's just expecting it. Oh, no, he's seen it. He's going to go over and take care of this Zealot run by before it becomes a problem. However, still a big delay on this Nexus. Gerald's Nexus is about to finish. Trigger going to be very far behind on that 5th base. Not the biggest deal in the world. They're not quite mined out enough to saturate a 5th base anyways. But little things like that can make a big difference. Ah, the Oracle goes down. Nice blink forward there. The Observer going to let him see that stasis trap and take care of it. A lot of Stalkers here for Trigger. Another Oracle dies. That army supply pretty heavily in favor of Trigger, but Gerald not only has +2 finished up, but +1 armor as well. Now the shield is on the way for Trigger, as is +2, so he's not that far behind, but there is a period of time here where Gerald is just going to be ahead 2 upgrades. And that's dangerous in these PvP fights. No splash damage or anything. As I say it though, 2 disruptors on the way for Gerald, so he is heading that direction. Just hasn't quite gotten there yet. Oof. But Gerald getting jumped on. Trigger is up a lot of army supply here, and Gerald is going to pull back and warp in a bunch of Stalkers. Trigger needs to be careful. There's a stasis trap up here. Oh! Catches a bunch of Stalkers. Kind of force fields the ramp though, so Gerald can't really take advantage of it and take a fight. Observer's getting sniped here. Gerald actually wins the Observer sniping war. Trigger going to keep on pushing as his upgrades are finished. Now they're on basically even upgrades. Trigger, I mean, they're both on mostly Stalkers. Oh my god, Gerald from the backside. He's going to go for the Disruptor Nova. He doesn't get the connection as the blink forward from Trigger gets him out of harm's way, but now he's directly fighting these Stalkers by a sealed battery overcharge, and another Disruptor Nova comes in from the top side. Trigger was taking a good fight, but that Disruptor got 8 Stalker kills. Gerald is now ahead in army supply, and Trigger, I think, is going to be forced to retreat here. Gerald holds on in that fight. That was a wild one. Let's take a look at the trade so far. Yeah, much better for Gerald. Trigger had a lead for a long time there in the income, but obviously that is gone. Trigger also had the army supply lead for a long time, but now that is gone as well. They're both mining the same amount. Gerald's upgrades are a little bit sooner. He's going to finish +3 attack and +2 armor a bit quicker. But overall, this is still a very even game. However, we've got some, what are these? These are Trigger's DTs cleaning up the Zealots that came over here to try to kill this base. So that base stays alive, so the 6th is on the way now. And it looks like Trigger's trying to send the Zealots and DTs in. There is a cannon here, though, and it looks like a second one on the way. Now Trigger dropping his own Robo Bay, but he's still pretty far away from getting Disruptors out. Gerald already has 4 or 5. DT's trying to come in here. They have been spotted. Blink is not done yet. Oh, and that Disruptor just kills all 4 of them. Whoa, blink forward while the Disruptor Novas are still active. Trigger going a little bit too crazy here, I think. However, Gerald blinks forward as well. Going to lose a few Stalkers for that. And there's more Disruptor Novas available for Gerald right now. Does he have another one? Not going to fire it off. But man, look at that army supply. 115 to, I guess, 91 now with a big warp into Zealots and DTs. But Gerald, it feels like he's in a very good spot. The Zealots and DT is going to go around and try to get on top of this base, which does not have any cannons at it yet. Uh-oh, the cannons have not been built. Well, the Zealots and DTs absolutely can get on top of this. And gun down those cannons very quickly. There is a recall of a bunch of army units. Should be able to take this down. But 9 probes going to go down at the same time. Trigger going to take advantage of that recall and try to get in here on the 4th base. Needs to be careful, though. Disruptor Novas and Stalkers are here. The DT is going to head over to this side and kill a gas, I guess. Done as much as they can be expected to do. Oh my god, this one's going to hold position here. Get out of here, dude. Trigger's going to pull back to this base. Army supply is still heavily in favor of Gerald, but hasn't been able to do too much with it. Actually, Trigger's finally going to take an upgrade lead with +2 shields finishing. The shield versus armor upgrade is always very interesting. When Trigger has found a way to avoid Gerald's army, Gerald doesn't seem to know where he wants to go right now. These Zealots are trying to fight the cannons. There's so many shield batteries over here to keep this alive for so long. Oh, DT gonna dive in. 9 more probes going down. Gerald down to 67 workers. Now, at this point in the game, that's not the end of the world. What is the end of the world is that Trigger has now killed 2 bases. Gerald's done nothing. Where is he going? His army's just been chilling in the middle of the map. I think he's been struggling to figure out where he wants to go. He doesn't have a recall available. And that one disruptor killing 2 or 3 of Gerald's before it goes down. And Trigger is going to back all the way up. He's still down an army supply. Gerald's economy is not in a good spot right now. It's in actually a terrible spot. However, he's got the army supply, and I would say he's got the better army here, with a lot of stalkers and a bunch of disruptors still available and alive. Disruptor Nova's just trying to trim off some units. Trigger does have the ability to take a good fight here, potentially. It looks like he wants to try to jump on this army. Gerald can cover his retreat. Woo, man, blinking forward to try to get a disruptor is such a scary proposition. Gerald doesn't fire off any shots, though there is 2 disruptors available here for Trigger that Gerald has to be afraid of as well. But Trigger's put himself in a great spot right now. Gerald trying to take this base. The DTs are going to come down here and might be able to kill some of these long-distance mining probes that are coming in here. More workers going down for Gerald. The blink forward from the stalkers to kill the DTs. But that's still 4 more probes going down. Oh, and Trigger's going to dive in and kill this base now, sending the Novas onto the ramp to stop Gerald from coming in to save it. There's the cancel on the base. 6 more probes going down. And Trigger's just going to dive in here. I don't know if I like this decision. This is very weird now. Trigger has put himself in a tough spot. Gerald looks like he might counterattack, but he's not doing it just yet. I think he wants to dive on top of this army, but Trigger is going to back out through the safe lane here where Gerald is not. At least somewhat safe lane. He goes for a recall on some of his units to take the fight. Disruptor Nova's coming in, but not really getting great connections. Gerald, though, he's down 30 probes. He's just replacing it with army. Supplies are the same, but look at the army supplies, 143 to 109. Oh, Trigger needs to take a great fight. Eats a big Disruptor Nova. Eats another big Disruptor Nova. I don't know. I kind of like this for Gerald now. There's some DTs doing counter damage, but it's economic damage. Can Trigger actually fight this army? Shuts down the robo production. No more disruptors coming out right now for Trigger. Oh, actually, I lied, but I think that is going to soon be the case. I think we got a base trade on our hands. Trigger decides I can't fight that army, but can you fight these DTs? The DTs are going to try to blink away. A couple of them will get caught here by the stalkers recalling, but it looks like 4 or 5 will get out of here for now. Oh, hold on. Trigger, stop running away. Now, Gerald only recalled part of his army. He's going to dive in here and try to kill some of the mining of Trigger. Disruptor Nova's going out. I think I like this better for Trigger as the army supplies start falling a little bit on either side. It's a little bit closer. Trigger is still mining from this base, though, something Gerald is not doing at all. And Trigger still has all of his main up and running right now. He's going to bring a bunch of Zealots home. I mean, both players still have all their production up, but Gerald just has no mining. And Trigger does. He doesn't have a ton. Oh my god, this base is alive? Oh, Gerald making a big mistake leaving this base alive. It's not, again, not much mining, but that is significant moving forward here. And with the supplies so close, looks like this base will finally fall. Trigger just warping in more units. He's so zealot heavy. That's his big problem right now. 30 zealots is maybe too many. And he's got to be careful of the disruptors of his opponent, but Gerald's not going to be able to make more disruptors soon. Like, he's got double robo still, and he's got the robo bay, but he's just not going to have any money very soon. He's running out as we're speaking right now. He's trying to take another base. It looks like this DT will get cleaned up, or at least sent away by the blink. This is such a wild game right now. I can't believe the Stargate's still alive, too. The Stargate went down to 6 HP and then lived. Completely irrelevant, but it's just kind of funny. Maybe if we get down to the last building, that Stargate will matter. Some Zealots going to dive in here. Oh, and they're just going to target down one of the Robos. Trigger knows that the disruptors are the most dangerous thing here from Gerald. Trigger's got a lot more money coming in. These Zealots are now targeting down the Nexus. Actually, if they can kill this Nexus, that could be huge. Long distance mining is not going to be a thing. And oh no! Zealots came in over here. They forced to cancel on this base. And Gerald is struggling right now. He's going to have the long distance mine to the main. Zealots diving in here now. Trigger's going in. Looks like we've got a counterattack though. Gerald trying to go for the base trade again. He's going to take down this base. This is Trigger's last real mining bases here, these two. But Gerald, is he going to pull back? He's trying to hold on the high ground with a couple disruptors and a bunch of stalkers. Ooh, Disruptor Nova on one side. I love the coverage there from Trigger with the second Disruptor Nova in case those stalkers blink forward. Gerald trying to catch this army. The army supply. Oh no, a massive Disruptor Nova on both sides. Okay, okay. Army supplies are dead even now, but Gerald has no probes. He's got a little bit of money left, but no probes, and Trigger still has 2 mining bases, 52 probes still around. Look at that, he's even got minerals and natural still. All 40 of them, 35 of them. But Trigger's in just a fantastic spot. Now, the armies are still very similar, but I think Trigger can just go win this game. I think he can just go kill everything. There's no recall available. Gerald would have to come home. Oh, Disruptor Nova back at home. Going to get a nice connection there. Oh, Gerald tries to come up the ramp. Bit dicey. Still has a few disruptors available. Still 5 disruptors, actually. A couple stalkers going to go down for free here. One DT in the main. Still trying to hold strong and get some damage done. Gerald is alive, but only barely. Oh my god, Trigger has this base. I didn't even realize he retook this Nexus. This is massive now. I don't know if Gerald necessarily knows about it either. He is going to catch a Disruptor. Trade out a few units here. Trading is bad for Gerald. He needs to take extremely efficient trades right now. He has no probes. There's 0 income for Gerald. None at all. No probes. He has enough money to build one, but I think he's smart to not. I think he needs to kill Trigger, but I don't think he can. There's also still cannons and shield batteries at this base. This one is going to get jumped on. Looks like he's going to gun down the probe. Should be able to take this base down. If you're Trigger, do you just try to dive into this base now? Or do you try to go kill the army? Trigger's mining is getting less and less as time goes on. Losing that base is painful. But he does still have a pretty significant amount of mining here to do. And he can long distance mine much more easily than his opponent can. Long distance mining is, I mean, it's impossible for Gerald at this point. He'd be long distance mining with 1 probe. It's just not worth the 50 minerals. Whereas Trigger can long distance mine very close to his base. In fact, he can long distance mine the rich mineral fields and get even more money. Kind of crazy. Trigger's also up a lot of army right now. The disruptors can change that, but oh, Trigger gets a 2-for-1 with his Disruptor Nova. We're pretty close to this deal being sealed here, as it looks like Trigger is poised to take game number 2 and to take this series off of Gerald. He's playing it very safe right now, but I was just going to say he could try to split off some Zealots and send them back into the main base. There's 1 cannon here, but that is it. There is detection in case some DTs come in. But this position for Gerald is very, very close to unwinnable. Oh, the Ursa deck gets popped. R.I.P. Ursa deck. R.I. Persa deck. Right now, Trigger's just checking to make sure you don't have any bases. You don't have any mining. Trigger wants to make sure he's not missing something. I think this is a smart play. Sending out the weakest Zealot to go check every single base and make sure. Gerald, in fact, does not have anything. He has no mining. And so this is a problem for Gerald. He needs to get in there, but look at the army supply for Trigger just get higher and higher and higher. Not building any more probes. Doesn't need any more probes. Just spending all of his money on more units. Making the chances of Gerald win get less and less every moment. Gerald's army supply is not going to grow. It just ain't. Actually, Observer is going to be huge here. There are still 2 Observers left for Gerald. But DTs are still a thing for Trigger. So those Observers are key. He's going to unsiege this one and bring it back. There is a DT running out here now. Uh-oh. DTs might seal the deal. Some Stalkers over here thinking about maybe doing some counterattacking. Like, the problem is Trigger can just warp in back at home, though. Like, he has the money for that. 46 Stalkers to 31. There are 9 Disruptors for Trigger. I mean, listen, 1 Disruptor can change the course of a game, but I don't know, man. I don't think these 4 are going to be able to do it. I don't think they're going to get it done. ET's just wandering around now, checking things out. Trigger sending some probes up here to mine. He doesn't see these Stalkers, though. Losing probes right now for Trigger is not the end of the world, but it's not great. Definitely doesn't want to just lose probes for free. Trigger sending a small contingent of Stalkers over here. Over 150 army supply now. They're both playing very carefully. Trigger does not want to throw this game. He knows he is winning this game. And the longer this game goes, the better it is for Trigger. As we see, Gerald, he lost an army supply. He's not gotten it back. Whoop. Gerald gonna dive in on top of these Stalkers. But even this, that was good for Trigger. He just killed a Stalker. That Stalker ain't coming back. It's never coming back. Gerald has enough to build 1 probe. And I like that he's keeping enough to build 1 probe. If there's a world for Gerald to win this, he would have to kill, he'd have to kill this whole army. But maybe he can't break through cannons or something, and then he's got to, like, I don't know, dude. Trigger's taking another base. The DT here for Trigger also keeping an eye on things. Ooh, Joe gonna send some Novas out. Doesn't get the big hits. Gets a couple Disruptor Novas, or Disruptors that time. So Gerald gets a nice little victory there. A lot of army supply still in favor of Trigger, but Trigger's mining is pretty abysmal right now. Oh, he just killed another Observer, though. Uh-oh. There's only 1 Observer left, and I think it's the one on the other side of the map. There's a cannon here. Gerald going to save money to build another Observer. That means he cannot build a probe. He cannot build a probe. Again, I don't think that's going to be relevant, but he can't do it. Recalls the rest of his Stalkers back. Trigger. He's trying to do a contain. Oh, he gets a kill on a Disruptor. That Ruptor isn't coming back. Trigger's starting to feel like he might be able to just kill this. And I think he's right. Ooh, he doesn't go for it, but man, could he ever. Trigger's base is done. He has 20 workers, which is absolutely enough to mine from a base. I don't know where a lot of them are, though. I think there's a couple hanging around somewhere. He's actually building more probes right now to saturate this base up. For a while there, I felt like there was a chance for Gerald, but maybe not a very good one. Now, I don't think there's actually a chance. These Disruptors are trying to get a trick shot. That's his only hope, is that Trigger isn't watching for like 2 seconds, and the Disruptors just kill all of Trigger's Ruptors and like 16 Stalkers. He would need 3 perfect shots on this army. 3 perfect Disruptor Novas on this army, and I think Gerald could maybe make it happen. But I don't think there's any world in which Trigger gives him that opportunity to do that. Now the army supply is doubled here for Trigger. Loses an observer. He's already got another one, and he's already building another one behind it. Ah, and now the snipe on Gerald's observer. He's going to start up one more. Using the last of his money here. Honestly, Trigger could blink forward and snipe all 3 disruptors, and this game would just end. All right, here we go. Is Trigger finally going to do it? He's going in. He gets 1 disruptor. There's the G. There is the G. Gerald fought it out as long as he possibly could. Trigger just had too much mining. And Gerald had none. GG.